Let me tell you a secret about the human body that most people never learn. The chemical duration of a single spike of anger in your bloodstream. The full physiological cascade from the first flash of heat to the last lingering tremor is exactly 90 seconds. Your body, in its innate wisdom, knows how to process the poison. It takes less than 2 minutes for the adrenaline to clear, for your pulse to steady, for the storm to pass through you. The anger itself is a fleeting biological event. So, if it only lasts for 90 seconds, why do we carry it for 90 days? For 9 years? We are the ones who choose to brew the poison in our own minds, long after our bodies have begged us to let it go. We become the architects of our own suffering, mixing a bitter draught in a cup we never have to drink from, but do over and over until the taste is all we know. I remember the first time I truly understood what anger was. It wasn't a childhood tantrum over a toy. It was later, a betrayal that felt like a physical rearrangement of my bones. A friend, someone I would have called a brother, did something so calculated, so cold, that it didn't just break my heart. It shattered my entire understanding of how the world worked. The details don't even matter now. They've faded like old ink. But the feeling is preserved in ember. I can summon it even now, the cold shock that quickly ignited into a white-hot fury. It was more than emotion. It was an occupation. My mind became occupied territory. Every thought was a soldier loyal to the anger. Every memory was a weapon. I would lie in bed at night, my jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached, replaying the scene, rewriting it, making myself the victor in a battle that only existed behind my own eyes. I was building a fortress around the wound, stone by heavy stone, and I was the sole prisoner inside. I thought my anger was a tool, a weapon. I believed, with the fervent faith of a zealot, that by holding on to it, I was holding him accountable. That my silent, seething rage was a constant psychic punishment being beamed directly to him. My suffering, I reasoned, was proof of his wrongdoing. It was my evidence. Look what you did to me. Look how I bleed. Surely he must feel this. Surely the universe is delivering my message of pain back to his doorstep. This is the great lie of anger, the most seductive and destructive of its many illusions. You stand there, gripping a blade, pointing it at someone who has long since walked away, and you don't even notice that the sharp edge is pressed against your own palm, that your own blood is dripping to the floor. You are so focused on the potential of the strike, on the justice of the swing, that you become numb to the actual physical damage you are doing to yourself in the process. The person who hurt you, they are out to dinner. They are laughing with new friends. They are sleeping the deep, untroubled sleep of someone who isn't hosting a ghost in their own mind. They have moved on. But you are still in that room, that moment, bleeding onto the floor, waiting for an apology that will never come, for a justice that will never be served, slowly dying from a wound you are refusing to let close. Anger is an acid. It's a corrosive liquid we store in the delicate vessels of our own spirits, and its primary function is not to damage the object it's aimed at, but to eat away at the container holding it. It rots your peace. You try to sit in silence, to read a book, to watch a sunset, and the acid bubbles up, burning the moment away. It steals your focus. You're in a meeting, or talking to your child, or trying to create something beautiful, and a drop of that acid falls onto the canvas of your concentration, sizzling, leaving a blackened hole where your attention used to be. But it drains your time. How many hours have I lost? How many days, cumulatively, have been sacrificed on the altar of that single grievance? I could have learned a language. I could have written a novel. I could have built something with my own 2 hands. Instead, I was a full-time tenant in a haunted house of my own making, paying rent with my joy. I used to think that letting go was a form of surrender, that it meant they won, that by releasing the anger, I was saying what they did was okay. I was granting them a pardon. This is perhaps the most cunning trick the ego plays to keep us trapped. It dresses up our suffering as a moral stance. It tells us that our pain is our integrity. But that's a fallacy. Letting go of the anger has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with condoning their actions. It is not absolution for the other person. It is amnesty for yourself. You are not letting them off the hook. You are simply choosing to stop being the hook. You are declaring that your mind is not a prison for their crime. You are deciding that your future is too valuable to be held hostage by your past. I had to learn this the hard way. The anger became a background hum to my entire life. A constant, low-grade static of resentment. It was the lens through which I saw everything. New opportunities felt risky because I'd been betrayed. New friendships felt fragile because I knew how they could end. I was living a life governed by a ghost. The original event was long over, but its general was still directing my movements from the grave. I was not free. I was a marionette, and my anger was pulling the strings. The real cost wasn't the initial pain. It was the thousands of small, beautiful moments I missed because I was too busy tending to the fire. I was so preoccupied with keeping the flames of my resentment alive that I didn't notice I was burning down my own forest. The turning point for me was a moment of pure exhaustion. It wasn't a moment of enlightenment or a sudden burst of wisdom. It was a Tuesday evening. I was tired. I was so profoundly, bone-deep tired. The weight of carrying this thing for years felt heavier than my own body. I realized I was spending more energy on nurturing this grudge than I was on nurturing my own dreams. The anger had become a full-time job that didn't pay, and I was its indentured servant. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I didn't see a warrior holding a line. I saw a ghost, pale and drained, haunted by a shadow. I was drinking the poison every single day, meticulously measuring out the dose, and waiting for a ghost to die. And the ghost was fine. The ghost was never going to die. The only one dying was me. So I made a choice. It wasn't a loud, dramatic choice. It was a quiet, internal one. A surrender, not to the person who hurt me, but to the reality of the situation. I chose to drop the blade. I chose to stop drinking the poison. And let me be clear about what this choice looked like. It did not mean I woke up one day and everything was sunshine and rainbows. It did not mean I forgave him. Forgiveness is a separate country, one I wasn't ready to visit. Letting go was simply the act of setting down the burden. It was the decision to stop replaying the tape. When the memory would surface, with all its associated heat and bitterness, I would acknowledge it. I would say, "There you are. I see you." And then, instead of inviting it in for tea and letting it stay for hours, I would gently show it the door. It was a process of countless tiny evictions. It was the mental discipline of redirecting my focus again and again and again, from the past hurt to the present moment. What is in front of me right now? What can I see? What can I feel? What can I build? It was in one of these present moments that I experienced a small but profound rebirth. I was in my garden, my hands in the soil, planting a seedling. The sun was warm on my back. A bird was singing somewhere. And for the first time in years, my mind was completely there. It wasn't back in that room of betrayal. It was right there, with the smell of damp earth and the feeling of the cool breeze. There was no static, no background hum of resentment, just silence. And in that silence, I felt a space open up inside me. A space that had been crammed full of anger and hurt was now empty. It was a clean, vacant room. And I realized that space was now available for something else. For joy, for curiosity, for new love, for peace. By letting go of the anger, I wasn't just removing a poison. I was creating a vacancy for a blessing. This is the ultimate truth that the angry mind refuses to see. Anger doesn't just take away your present peace. It mortgages your future. It commits the energy you could be using to build a new life to the full-time maintenance of an old ruin. You are pouring the concrete for your future foundations with the toxic sludge of your past resentments, and you wonder why nothing solid ever seems to take shape. Your anger is a debt you are paying to a ghost, and the interest will bankrupt your soul. Freeing yourself from anger is the ultimate act of self-defense. It is not passive. It is not weak. It is the most powerful, assertive stand you can take for your own life. It is you declaring, with every fiber of your being, that you will no longer be a collaborator in your own destruction. That your mind, your time, your energy, and your peace are sovereign territory. You are building a wall against the past and saying, "You shall not pass." You are choosing to heal, not because the wound wasn't deep, but because you refuse to define your life by a single scar. They say that holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. But it's even more insidious than that. It's like you've built a forge inside your own heart, and you are the one stoking the flames, hammering the metal, fashioning the coal into a sharper, heavier weapon, day after day. The other person isn't even in the same city, but you are there, in the blistering heat, covered in soot, exhausting yourself in the creation of an instrument of vengeance that will never be you. The true victory is not in landing the blow. The true victory is in laying down the tools. It's in walking out of the smoky forge and into the clean open air. It's in letting the fire die out, not because the injustice doesn't matter, but because you matter more. So if you are holding on to something right now, if you are clutching a blade or drinking from that poisoned cup, I want you to know something. I know how it feels. I know the seductive power of that righteous fire. I know the way it makes you feel strong, alive, justified. But I also know the exhaustion that comes after. The hollow, ashen taste it leaves in your spirit. I'm not here to tell you to forgive. I am not here to tell you to forget. I am here to ask you a simple question. One I had to ask myself. Is it working? Is this anger, this grudge, this constant replaying of the tape? Is it delivering the justice you crave? Or is it, in fact, a life sentence you have handed yourself for a crime someone else committed? Are you the warden and the prisoner in a jail of your own design? The world will give you 1,000 reasons to be angry. It will hand you injustices and betrayals and deep aching pains. It will offer you the poison again and again. Your power does not lie in refusing to see the pain. Your power lies in your choice of what to do with it. You can accept the cup and drink and let it curdle inside you. Or you can look at it, acknowledge its existence, and then pour it out onto the ground. You can choose to metabolize the pain into wisdom instead of letting it fester into poison. You can use the energy of that hurt to build a life so beautiful, so full of light and meaning, that the shadows of the past simply have no place left to hide. This is your one change. This is the single most important shift you can make. The shift from being a vessel of resentment to being a guardian of your own peace. It is a daily practice. It is a minute-by-minute choice. It is the hard, unglamorous work of choosing your own freedom over the familiar comfort of your rage. It starts today. It starts right now. The next time that old familiar heat rises in your chest, remember the 90 seconds. Feel it. Let the biological wave pass through you. And then, before you pick up the story, before you stoke the fire, ask yourself this. Do I want to carry this for another day? Another year? Do I want to drink this particular poison today? And then, make a different choice. Choose to put the cup down. Choose to open your hand and let the blade fall. It will feel strange at first. It will feel like you are losing a part of yourself, because for so long, that anger has felt like a part of who you are. But it is not you. It is just a ghost you have been carrying. And you are finally allowing it to rest. The world needs your light, not your darkness. It needs your creativity, not your bitterness. It needs you, fully alive, fully present, and finally, gloriously free. So let it go. Not for them. For you. Because you win when the poison leaves your system. You win when you get your life back.